Garrett? Is that really you? Yes. Althea shuddered at the mechanical sound. It can't be. This can't be real. It is true, Mother. How do I know it's really you? Do you remember when I was a boy? You read to me every night, always the same story. I dreamed of flying. You were so proud when I became a pilot. You cried with joy. Father wanted me to work with him on the airships. I did not. That night, I asked you to read me that story again. Althea sniffled. I remember. Oh, Garrett. She reached out and ran her fingers on the wood top of the station. I am so sorry, Garrett. Is it true? Did you really want to be like this? It was the only way. She wiped a tear from her eye. I suppose you're still here at least. No. What? This is no life. I feel nothing. Only the ship that I control. I can never fall in love and marry. Look at what Father has done. So many people, so many lives destroyed prematurely for Father's gain. I love you, Mother, but I would rather be dead than continue like this. Tears cascaded down her cheeks again. I'm sorry, Garrett. I wish there was a way that I could make things right again. Help me stop him before he hurts more people. That was the only reason I agreed to this, so I could have a chance to stop him. Althea took a step back. I'm sorry, Garrett. I have to get back up to the guests. She turned. Please, Mother, the mechanical voice called after her. She ran from the room. Music and voices drifted down from the deck to where Althea sat unmoving in the stairwell. Mrs. Cartwright? Althea looked up through a daze into Dr. Baxter's familiar blue eyes and grayed hair. Mrs. Cartwright, your husband asked that I come check on you and make sure that you made it back up to the party all right. He looked down at her. Yes, it quite takes my breath away too. The things that we have been able to accomplish. The ability to maintain brain function separate from the body. It's remarkable, isn't it? I am particularly proud of our success with your son. Most of the others have limited capabilities, but your son is a unique specimen. We were fortunate to recover his brain before his injuries caused any further damage. You were the one who did this to him? Oh yes, I performed all of the surgeries personally. It's very tricky work. I could not risk anyone else making mistakes and losing a specimen, especially not with the position of honor that your husband had planned for Garrett. He's not merely a pilot now. He commands the entire ship. He smiled down at her. We are planning to make a whole fleet of automaton ships. We truly are changing the world. Althea's heart began to race. More ships? More people violated? More children stolen from their mothers, losing their lives like her Garrett? He smiled down at her. We should really go back up now, Mrs. Cartwright. The guests have begun inquiring about your absence, and these floors are still a disgraceful mess. No place for a lady such as yourself. He cast a disapproving eye at the tools on the floor beside her. He turned to head back upstairs. She felt only the steel in her hand, as cold as her skin, the weight of the wrench as she swung. Her arm jolted when the wrench connected. There was a loud crack. Dr. Baxter fell. She stared at him lying limp on the floor. What have I done? She reached towards him. Her hand recoiled. She ran back down the stairs, still clutching the wrench. Althea ran past the rows of brains. She collapsed in front of the command station, sobbing. Garrett, what have I done? What is it, Mother? What is wrong? Are you all right? I hit the doctor. Is he alive? I don't know, she cried. What if I killed him? Do not worry about that now. They are going to do it again, Garrett. He said they are going to build more ships like this. They are going to hurt more people like they hurt you. Not if you stop them, Mother. I don't know how. Destroy the ship. How? Can't you do something? No. Father programmed safety protocols. I cannot destroy it myself. Then what am I supposed to do? Destroy the brains. The ship cannot fly without them. Althea looked down at the wrench in her hand, at the smudge of red on it. She stood up and walked towards the nearest of the brains. She grasped the handle of the wrench with both hands and screamed as she smashed the first jar. She turned to the next jar and smashed it as well. She continued down the row, hitting them one by one. A loud clunking noise came from under the floor. The ship lurched, knocking Althea to the ground. She stood and smashed the next jar. Good. Destroy them all. A moment later, Hastings came running in. Althea, did you see what happened to Dr. Bet? He stopped dead when he saw her. What are you doing? Althea ignored him. Althea, stop! He grabbed her arm and pulled her away before she smashed another brain. Yanking the wrench from her hands, he threw it to the ground. What are you doing? He roared. I can't let you do this. I can't let you hurt more people. She tried to pull away. Hastings slapped her, and she stopped struggling, staring at him in shock. You will not get in my way. I will not allow you to jeopardize my work. How dare! The ship lurched to the side, throwing Althea and Hastings against the wall. She landed on top of him. Hastings hit his head. He groaned. Mother, the ship is crashing. You must get off before it is too late. Althea crawled along the floor towards the door. When she reached it, she turned back to look at her husband. He was starting to stir. She looked away, facing the station that contained the remains of her son. Goodbye, Garrett, she called. I love you. I love you too, Mother. She stumbled out of the room. As Althea stepped onto the deck, it tilted again. A woman screamed. People clung to the rails. Glasses crashed, spilling champagne across the floor. A loud rumbling sounded from under their feet, followed by a crash. Cedric approached her. Mrs. Cartwright, what is going on? Something is wrong with the ship. Hastings and Dr. Baxter are trying to deal with it, but we need to get everyone off the ship. He nodded. A grinding drew their attention to the rear of the airship. Trap doors opened in the floor, and small evacuation craft lifted from beneath. Cedric directed guests into the small craft. When it was filled, a red light blinked. Gears turned and belts transferred it out into the open air. Another rose to take its place. Althea and Cedric climbed onto the second evacuation ship with the remainder of the guests. As they drifted towards the ground, Althea turned towards him. He fiddled with the control panel on the small craft. What are you doing? You will have to forgive me, but I don't trust these automated ships. Althea laughed bitterly. After today, I cannot blame you for that. Are you sure that's a good idea, though? I am your husband's top competitor. I know how to handle an aircraft. He looked back at the airship they abandoned. I hope that he and the doctor are able to... A loud explosion rocked them. The ball of fire that had been Hastings' aircraft heated Althea's face. She started to hyperventilate, gasping for breath as though the smoke from the ship were choking her across the distance. Cedric put a gentle hand on her back. Breathe. Put your head between your knees and just focus on breathing. She did as he said. A few moments after, her breathing returned to normal. She sat up, her eyes red and tears streaking her face. I am terribly sorry for your loss, madam. Althea nodded. They sat in silence for a time. watching the fireball light up the evening sky.
On the sky of heaven.